Hey everyone, it's John Corella, one of the co-creators and executive producer of Dance Moms. Okay, everyone, this is a super fun podcast. I felt I need to do it for myself, for everyone listening during this election time. And it's a 30-year anniversary of the iconic cult classic Showgirls. And in front of me, I have a longtime colleague, friend, Lindsley Allen. She's a creative choreographer, a dance educator, a director, an actress, and an all-around good person. And she was in Showgirls. Welcome to the podcast. Hi, Lindsley.
Hi, John. Oh my gosh. So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And thanks for making this happen. And I have a question. Did you have because I know some people had roles in Showgirls. Did you have a role and did you have a name? Like, I know you were Darling Nikki with Prince, but did you have a name for Showgirls?
Okay, first of all, I want to say I love your outfit and the sparkles. I mean, fantastic. And pink. I mean, that's my favorite. Okay. That is such a good question because I had a appointed name for Prince. Did you as well? Darling Nikki. But Showgirls,
No.
I did. I was in the scenes in January where we were supposed to be some of the dancers and her friends and people. And I had on the overalls, but I don't think I had a particular name. The girl in the overalls.
Maybe because they already knew you had a name. They already knew you were Darling Nikki. You were already Darling Nikki at that point. You were playing yourself.
Maybe like dancer number. I don't know. I'd have to look back. I don't think I had a name though.
And everyone, I know those of you can't see. And if you want to see, you can go to Patreon and support this podcast and watch our on-camera video. But I wish I had a black bob wig. I totally wish I had that, but yes. I don't. But I have, a see-through NC-17 tank top on with my basic, it's not basic, but they all know this Dance Dad hat that I wear. So I start the podcast off, and you're now a part of the family. The Dance Dad podcast family is asking 4 questions to kind of ground us, to have a conversation. And so the 4 questions are: how are you feeling? Where do you feel it? What color is it? And what is it saying? So, and I'll do it with you too. But first, how are you feeling this morning, Lindsley?
I am feeling excited. I think I feel more optimistic today. The beginning of the week, the hurricane last night felt a little scary. My mom lives in Florida, but this morning I'm feeling very optimistic. This is fun. Last night I went back and I brought some things. I mean, I know that you can't see us, but for the podcast that you can see, I went back and read through my Showgirls booklet that I have, and I have a huge photo by Douglas Kirkland on my wall and just relived those Showgirls memories, and it was really so much fun. So that made me feel so good. So thank you for having me. I'm feeling good.
And I want you, everyone, she just pulled up the iconic photo or the movie poster. So, but I also too, I think that cover was a famous artist. I saw it. It was like maybe a French artist who had did it with another model, and they kind of copied it for that. Is that true?
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, I don't know who did this one. There's a couple photographers that they did use. Douglas Kirkland, which, by the way, I'll show you the photo later. That's in my office. That's incredible that all of us there, we got photographed by Douglas Kirkland, who's a famous photographer.
And how did you get photographed? What he did Marilyn Monroe. When would they pull you out to do? Would they just pull you out in between shooting, or did you have a specific time to shoot?
We did have a specific time to shoot, and it was during, I believe it was during when we were shooting or getting ready for shooting. We did a lot of spray tanning, so they just had different times for some of us. And my partner, so you're feeling
hopeful and optimistic. Hopeful is good. Optimistic. I love that Showgirls took you down to hopefulness and optimistic. What color is it?
Oh, pink, fuchsia. My favorite color. I love fuchsia. It's bright and powerful and feminine and strong and colorful, and it's
I love fuchsia too. I mean, look at my backdrop, what you're wearing. And if this hopeful, optimistic color fuchsia, where do you feel it in your body?
I feel it right here in my heart and in my center, because that trueness of pure love and joy, I think, starts right there. And just going back to like the memories brought up the friendships, the fun, the creativity, the dance, that stuff to me, that female power, it makes me feel hopeful and joyful.
And if it was saying anything, if it had a voice, it is saying something. What would that hopeful, optimistic fuchsia in your heart be telling the listeners right now?
Choose love, not fear.
See, already having fun. I'm already having fun with Lindsley because I was feeling fear and anxious. So how I'm feeling, it changed. You see, emotions change, everybody. It was anxious. It's kind of anxious love now. There is some anxiousness on this part. Love, and what color is it? It is fuchsia as well. I'm going on the fuchsia bandwagon. It is in my heart too. Actually, the love is kind of all over my body. The anxiousness is on one side of my chest. And it is saying, this is kind of random. I don't know why it's saying this, but it's saying, and this might sound really cryptic, but it's saying, nobody will go unpunished. Meaning, so there's consequences for everything.
Absolutely. And trust me, I get anxious too. I think there's a really fine line for myself of anxious and excited, and anxious and not knowing what's going to happen, having optimism and faith and hope. But of course, the unknown for all of us, I think, can bring up anxiety. It does for me sometimes, for sure.
Well, what is known right now?
Right.
My known is that what gives me excitement right now is Showgirls, the movie. It always has. My past with it, everyone, is my love for it is because, hello, I'm a dancer, and all of you younger dancers that are over 18, go and watch this movie show. So of course I was watching it back then, but I was dating someone at the time who was in it.
Oh,
so I was hearing all the, Tice DiOrio.
Oh, that he was my partner.
Yeah. So I have my own, I have my own stories outside of Tice, but I also would hear, we were together during that time, and I know it was a lot going on. So that's my attachment to it. And I did have I had a private call. It was my first audition ever in Los Angeles. And I had a private call with Marguerite to do lifts. So I'm telling myself, I think I almost got it. So you got it. So what was it? What was that call like from Julie McDonald saying, we have this audition for this film. It's Paul Basic Instinct. Did they tell you up front that there was going to be nudity?
It was a huge call. I do remember it being one of the, biggest auditions, because it was a huge film, MGM. It was based on dancers. So it was a huge cast. And I remember going to the audition. They did say that it was topless. So I knew that it was
topless. That's what I meant.
Topless. Yeah, topless. I just want to make that clear. So there's not nudity, but topless. Yes. And so people had to decide if it was right for them or not. But it was a huge call. I remember everyone. To me, it was everyone was there that was of A-list category, right? It was insane. It was a huge audition. I remember.
Name some of the names that were there.
Well, I don't know everyone that was there, because I think I was so focused on doing a great job. I wanted to make sure that I wore the right outfit, and it was anxiety. It was definitely a huge job, and I wanted to get the job. It was big names. It was a big studio. It was a long job for dancers, so it was good money. I mean, I definitely wanted to book the job. Dancers.
How long was it? How long was the job for dancers?
Well, let's see. We ended up rehearsing in Los Angeles for about 3 months. And then we went to Tahoe to rehearse for about probably like another month and then we shot the movie until December. And then there were a couple of us that stayed to do more work in January. So it was a long process. It was at
About
least
half a year.
5, 6. Yeah. I mean, it was an incredible job.
And I'm sure you all still get residuals from that.
We do. We still get residuals. And I actually bought my first car in Los Angeles from that job, my little white Mazda Miata that I still have.
Ooh, we love a Miata. Oh, you do? I love a Miata.
It's a convertible. I mean, she needs some work done, but I still have her because that was the first big job that I was able to purchase my own first car myself. So it was.
So what was the audition like? Was it, what did it feel like?
The audition was intense. Indeed, it was Marguerite Derricks. And obviously I had taken classes with her, but I had never worked for her in a job like this. I do believe Paul Verhoeven was there. I felt like he had a lot to do with who got the jobs as well. And there were obviously other people there too. I remember it being intense, but I remember feeling, which is why I don't remember other people there, very much in the zone. Like I liked the choreography. I had taken Marguerite's class. Was a working dancer at the time. There were people that had ended up getting the job. Fantastic, A-list people there. Melissa Williams, Sebastian Lacaze, Kevin Stay, Terry Lindholm. Like it was technique, but then jazz as well. Like it was choreography that fit my body really well, and I felt really good. And then Tice and I, because of size-wise, we got to partner together, and that was
at the audition.
I believe at the audition, because we had to partner up with people that are of our size, and I believe that we got together because of our size, and it was fantastic that he was my partner, and it worked really well. We had known each other. We've, friends, colleagues. We had good chemistry.
And
he's an amazing
what
dancer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I mean,
and I can't see the size, and he had longer hair back then too. If I remember, it was really long. I think this is good to know because people auditioning for dance is already so body conscious. I don't know if it is anymore. At least when I was auditioning, we would have to go in and at the end of the audition take our shirts off. 10 guys in a row, and you're like, oh my god, like So was it? Did they have you all of you dancers? Was that because it was so body conscious, so to speak? Was that incorporated into the audition, in the final audition?
I mean, they made sure to say, it's going to be topless. So body conscious, make sure that you wanted to wear something that was going to be able to show your body. Yes. And that never scared me away from being a dancer. I love dancers' bodies. The topless didn't deter me because I felt like it was a big production. It was going to be artistically done. I felt like I was doing a character. So that didn't scare me away from the job. But I did wear, which I did think ended up being a good audition outfit. And I was told later by some of the dancers and the director and Marguerite as well. I had on a full sheer, it was like a black sheer head to toe, full sleeve, like unitard. And then just a black bra and a black bottom that was G-string in the back. So I was fully covered, but sheer.
Lindsley, and then, of course, I love it already.
So it was sleek because I'm not tall. So I knew that I needed long lines, right? So I didn't want anything to cut me off. Unitard, sheer unitard, but then, of course, kind of sexy and heels. And so it was simple, but it was effective.
And ironically, the scary thing is I've seen that costume at dance competitions.
You have?
Yes. Oh yeah. And I know people know because I wasn't in this number. It was when we were dancing, and that was a costume. The girls weren't in a thong, but they were completely in that. They might have been 16. So,
I was older than 16, so I feel like
exactly.
I was an adult when I auditioned for Showgirls, definitely over 18, so it was appropriate for me. I mean, G-string, not sure.
I just had to bring that, how dance competitions can be inappropriate at times. And Lindsley was on Dance Moms too. So that's another connection we have. that we'll talk about later. So you do this audition, you
Mm-hmm.
nail it. Well, first of all, Marguerite is known as this very technical.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with her,
Mm-hmm.
the legs and feet and
Yes.
ballet. So what was your training to obviously be able to do that growing up? Did you take a lot of ballet and jazz?
Yeah, I don't think that people realize coming out here. I had a lot of classical ballet and what they called contemporary training back east. I studied intensive with Joffrey Ballet, and most of my training was classical, jazz, and ballet. And it wasn't until I won my Joe Tremaine scholarship and moved out to Los Angeles that then I was exposed to so many other styles of dance, hip hop, jazz funk. I had tap as well, but I had a really great foundation. So that kind of choreography, Marguerite's like long lines technique, but with a snappy jazz kind of feel.
Very sharp.
Very sharp. I mean, it was intense. She's very athletic. I was a gymnast, so I used to have those skills to like back, do all that kind of stuff. It was fitting for me. I mean, it's not an easy audition for Marguerite, and it's not easy choreography, as you know, but it was something that if you were had a great foundation in technique, it was a great audition for you.
The weird thing is maybe I didn't go to that audition. I forget I had just moved to LA. It's because it was 94. That's why I realized, it's been 30 years.
Yeah.
So maybe I just did a private audition. I had to do lifts with Jennifer Hamilton. Now, what did you all know? Elizabeth Berkley was going to be in it. Was she at the auditions as well to kind of help pick?
I don't remember her being at the audition, and I don't remember if I knew at the time if she was doing the film.
So
I remember being very focused on it. I mean, maybe I did. I don't remember. I'm not sure.
So you get it. You get it was one of the biggest jobs at that time.
For sure.
I remember that. You get one of the biggest jobs in LA. You go to rehearsal and all of a sudden you hear the music. I was listening to the music this morning, that dun, 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 and you get the choreography and I mean the famous hand gestures of the were you like, oh my God, this is so intense. How did you feel about all of it? Learning all those numbers and the choreography and what you were doing?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, Paul Verhoeven said he wanted to do a musical number. He loved West Side Story. So there was a lot of choreography, and it was Marguerite Derricks. And this was, on the edge of, this was a newish job for her as well, of this big quality, a big film, right? So it was tough. It was technical. It was athletic. There was a lot of partner work. There were a lot of numbers. So it was, I just think, highly focused. And of course, at that time too, I loved all of that. I loved every minute.
Yeah, I would have been like, this is fierce, like slapping my thigh and doing and
working hard and being sore at night and coming back and trying to get the choreography. And it was a dream come true. I mean, it was really a dream. To me, it was a dream job. And it's still one of the jobs that people comment on the most and want to know about. And there were so many things that happened, and it was a great job.
Why do you feel Showgirls is such a cult classic?
That is such a good question, because there's such a big arc to it. So many things that happened. I mean, obviously in the beginning with Paul Verhoeven and Joe from Basic Instinct, and Flashdance, which was one of my favorite movies that changed my life as well. They set out for it to be sort of this Basic Instinct kind of movie at the box office. And when it wasn't that opening weekend, it was considered a flop opening weekend.
Do you feel, I don't even have to ask you. I feel, I didn't work with them, but I feel like maybe they didn't, maybe they wanted it to be this.
No,
that's kind of, no, you really think they had high expectations for it?
Yes. Wow. I was there for sure to understand, kind of prepping, and, Elizabeth Berkley, going to be of the Sharon Stone kind of status. I really think that they thought it was going to be that kind of movie, more of this serious musical drama. They didn't know that it was going to be a cult classic. So when it didn't do well that first weekend, it wasn't what they expected. I'll say it like that. It wasn't what they expected that weekend. I mean, we kind of knew on the inside because some of us as dancers, some of those scenes, we were thinking we wouldn't really say that.
Well,
Dancers, we
that's what
wouldn't
I'm
really
trying
do
to say
that.
is I
But
think,
you
well,
know,
and you know what's good that you're saying, and this is going down another conversation, is I feel people who are in dance need to tell the stories, you
yes,
know. And so
that's
that you just said right now, it didn't sound right. You know why? And it did, they weren't dancers. They might have liked dance, but you know, someone like me, I'm the dance guy. I go and do dance moms. You see, it resonates with you because
yes,
I'll say that doesn't have, that's not real. These are the real, this is authentic. So there needs to be more people. If you're going to do a dance movie, hire someone who danced as a director. If you're going to do a dance TV show, hire a producer that's a dancer. If
yes,
you're going to even have, the good thing about Elizabeth Berkley is I think before the movie she was taking Marguerite's class, but she was a trained dancer as well.
hmm hmm yeah,
So
I
that was a
agree.
good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like Paul Verhoeven, he loved musicals. Joe Esterhaus as well. He wrote Flashdance, Basic Instinct, Showgirls. So they love dance and love musicals. But I agree with you. I think having someone consulting from the inside, because there were moments and things in the script that we were like, dancers wouldn't really do that, you know.
Well,
But
Lindsley, I think our
Elizabeth
generation
was a dancer.
says consulting, but I'm here to say we got to be in charge.
No, in charge. Even bigger, even bigger. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just saying it
Even
wouldn't be
bigger.
what it was without Paul and Joe. Like, I don't want to take away from them, but I think adding to that team, you're exactly right. Someone within the dance world, I think it would have, it ended up being what it was, and it's a cult classic because all of that, right? It did flop opening weekend. It wasn't what they expected because they didn't have that inside view, I think, of dancers and how dancers really think and feel and live. But it ended up being a cult classic because people ended up loving the film, knew all the lines of it, and saw the kind of dark humor and the funny side to it as well. And as a full circle, which I'm so happy about, it became a cult classic. There are people that know all the lines and have seen it way more than I have.
It's similar to Mommy Dearest, I
Yeah.
think, because when you go they didn't want it. Mommy Dearest, they were very serious about it. And I think Mommy Dearest, it makes sense as they say that was more about the way it was shot, where her performance was really good. So it goes into the hand of the director. If you're the director,
Yeah.
you got to take responsibility for if it does good and if it doesn't do good. But I think it's similar to that. So it's because it's so over the top,
Yes.
all of it, the acting, the the dancing. Actually, the
Yes.
dancing might be the most grounded thing in it. That was the most grounded. Is that people just kind of, you don't laugh at it, you're kind of laughing with it, with
Yeah.
love. I don't know if
Yes.
that makes sense. You're
That
not
does that.
laughing at it.
I think that makes perfect sense. And I'm so glad that you said that because I think that is why it became a cult classic because people resonated with it, but just in a different way than what they originally expected it to be. So I don't think that makes it a bad thing at all. I mean, obviously, it's come around and it's in its place where it's the best it could have been. Now it ended up being a cult classic. And now later it's, made all this money and makes people happy and joyful. And Elizabeth has had a full circle um, acknowledgement and appreciation, which I'm so happy about. So it's
Me
full
too.
circle.
Me
Yeah.
too.
At the Academy and
It's
Museum.
that's a bittersweet story, and I don't know her
Yes.
story just from on the outside looking in, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it
I
wasn't
feel if it was definite. It was unfair. It was unfair to her,
for
and
sure.
she was a kid. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, she was a kid. And do
Right.
you feel Showgirls would be made now in 2024?
Oh, it would be great to remake Showgirls in 2024, coming from the inside of like real dancer kind of perspective. I mean, at the time they wanted it really big musical about Showgirls. It would be so great to have a huge, big dance cast with that much dancing, that much choreography, but maybe definitely the intention coming from the inside out. Let's do it. Yeah. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Well,
But
yeah.
I do want to go back to what you were saying about being
Oh,
unfair for Elizabeth because that is the part of the business that can be cruel and unfair. And she really did get blamed so much for the initial, I'm not going to say failure or flop of Showgirls in that opening weekend. I literally walked into the bathroom at the premiere, and we were close on set, and she was by herself, upset. Because, I mean, they really did build her up so much that it was going to be huge. And she ended up, this is her business, but I just know a few things that I think for the business, it's good for young dancers to know. And that's why I always teach sometimes knowing the business and knowing the artistry and keeping them separate as much as you can. It's not easy, but her agent dropped her. She was blamed for a lot of the movie's failure. And that is just not fair, and it's taken a long time for her to come back around. And I'm so glad that in March, the Academy and Museum played Showgirls, and so many people filled the theater and got up and gave her like a 10-minute standing ovation. And so she was that for her? By the fans. It was incredible. It was a moment that she, after years and years, had to work through and came around full circle. And so it's all good. Like, it all needed to happen. And her career is back on track. And personally, she's gone through things. But I was so happy that she felt the acknowledgement that she didn't get to feel opening weekend. And it took many years, 30 years to come back around. But she knows that she is so loved by so many adoring fans, and that she did an excellent job, and that she was not the sole person that.
No, it's like a car accident. Yeah, it's a car accident. There's many people involved, and she was a kid.
She was a kid.
She was probably maybe, 23. That's it.
She was very young.
Yeah. And, and by these straight men that most likely, I don't know all of them, but I'm sure those are the ones that dropped her and didn't take the responsibility, where I hope that she gets more flowers for other. Yeah. I did see her I love her in what is that? The three women, they sing that song, "You Don't Know, Own Me or Love Me." First Wives Club. She was great in that. She was great in that. She played the Victor Garber's wife. So, and her and I have a common friend. And she also, I believe she still I don't know if she still takes with him, but she is Howard Fine. So he's close with her. And, but she's anyway, we love you, Elizabeth. Yes, we love everything. Yeah. And we love how you follow direction. We love your dancing. I have a friend who actually is going to be her for Halloween. So it lives on.
Yeah. She is like full moment coming out, big heart, that's the thing. She worked so hard. As you were saying, a dancer at heart. She was working really hard. She had these high expectations. She was loving the job, loving the dancers. She was so gracious to all the dancers, and just coming from Saved by the Bell too. So that was a huge change, right? That was a huge career shift, and a dear sweet soul. So I am so happy to see this come back around, and might have an opportunity to work with her again soon. I hope so. I would love to be in her company again. She's a dear person.
I hope you do, because I know that you would. Not that hey, we all need protection, but we all need to be around people who, like you said earlier, whether it's someone you're working with, a producer, creatively, someone that there's loyalty, commitment, and that's a good person. And so I hope that you all do.
I do. I remember feeling protective of her in that moment, even like on set, and you could, it's a tricky situation. And so I did feel very protective of her, and definitely in the bathroom helped wipe her tears and stuff. And so she's a grown woman, beautiful woman, and I hope to see her again soon.
So you're at, we love you, Elizabeth. We're at, first of all, where did you, MGM? I didn't know it was MGM. They're like iconic for musicals. Where did you rehearse at Sony?
So we rehearsed and the audition was Screenland. And then we did rehearse, at the studio. We did rehearse at the studio.
I feel like this was the Staying Alive of
big studio
of the generation, or the chorus line. Yes. All these like walking in with your dance bags and dropping them, and just hitting it. So
That's exactly it.
I'm so I love it, and I'm so jealous that you got to experience that. But so so you're done. So where did you all shoot it at?
Okay, so we rehearsed in LA, like I was saying, like that big studio space for months, and then this was an interesting day too, John, that just have to tell you about. So we were all closed in dance clothes rehearsal, and then there was the one big day that we were all going to do the reveal. We had to dance for the first time topless because how are we going to feel, right? And I'll never forget that day when it was like everyone was like a little bit excited and nervous a little bit, and then we did, and it was so liberating and free and fun. And, the first moment, I think everyone was a little self-conscious, and then we got over that real quick. So it was actually really fun. That was in Los Angeles before we went to Tahoe.
So you were just around the dancers?
Just around the dancers. It was a very closed set. They were very protective. They made sure that no one felt unsafe. I don't remember a lot of other bigwigs or people being in the room that didn't need to be. There was Marguerite and whoever her assistants were and the dancers. And it really was just
Michelle Alkin.
Oh, so many people. So many. Melissa Williams. I mean, Chris Childers, Lisa Radson, Kevin Stay, Carrie Ann Nava. I mean, so many amazing dancers. Terry Lindholm, Kim Wolf. I could go on and on.
So did you always feel safe on the set? Because first of all, there's nothing wrong with going topless. Okay. First of all, but obviously you want to have safety, because, on any set, but especially when it comes to our bodies. Yeah. Did you always feel safe on set?
So I definitely felt safe that day at rehearsal doing the topless because it wasn't all the time. It was that day, And then when we went to Tahoe, then we had rehearsals in Tahoe, and it was amazing. We each had our own room in South Tahoe. It was beautiful, small kind of, town. And the stage was right downstairs.
What hotel?
Should know
so
that.
People can go.
I know. I don't know the name right now. It actually was the stage that Anne Margaret fell off of.
Okay, Google it. Google it.
Yeah, I should know that. It's a small hotel right there in South Tahoe. Okay. I'll find the name for you. But the great thing is that our rooms were right there, and then we just walked downstairs for makeup, hair, and the sound stage was right there. Like everything was built within the hotel. So we didn't go outside the hotel. You didn't have to go outside the hotel for the shooting. It was right downstairs. 4 a.m. was our call for being painted in the gold paint and all of that. But you asked the question about feeling safe on set. I did. I felt like they were very respectful. We immediately would get our robes. After each shot, they would make sure that we had our robes on. And I do remember this. So we had crew that was helping us with robes, and if they were girls or guys, they had to make sure that they looked us in the eye, that they couldn't look down. So I felt very safe. I felt like they made sure that they took care of us because I didn't feel any kind of extra Googling or harassment or anything like that. I felt like everyone was super aware of making the space feel safe for the dancers, especially when we had to take our robes off.
Well, and obviously I would say more for women, men need it too, but back then and even now, sets are predominantly male. So that's why it's important to have more women on sets, whether they're grips, whether they're camera operators.
I don't know if there were more women, but the men that they did hire were very respectful. I never felt uncomfortable. And there were extras that were in the audience. So there were a lot of people watching at times.
No, I was just saying in general, it's good predominantly, whether it's Showgirls or, some Scarlett Johansson movie, predominantly the crew is male.
You're correct.
That's what I meant. So it's always good to have more female representation, and especially in a film like Showgirls. Hey, maybe you'll do Showgirls 2025. Have more women being grips and everything. So I figured out the hotel. It's Harvey's.
Harvey's. Thank you. It's actually considered kind of like a boutique, small kind of hotel. And it was so lovely, John. I mean, we each had our own rooms. We were there for months. I remember it snowing sometimes outside and then go downstairs to get dressed. here's your costume, the little gold G-string. That was really funny to me when I first arrived. Here's your costume. It's like little gold G-string. But we were painted gold, which helped. That made it feel like a covering as well. But we would go to like cute little restaurants and little pubs, and we just had an incredible time as a dance community, and friendships made during that time. So many laughs, so many stories.
What was your favorite number?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I love the volcano number. It just was really exciting. The reveal, yeah. It was a lot of movement and
you have a shot with Tice in that.
Yeah. It was slow, and then it's very dramatic, and it was fun. I actually have this too. I know that they can't see on the podcast, but this is amazing, kind of. This is all the music. It's a deluxe letterbox edition of, and I'm right there actually on the back, but it has.
Which number are you doing in the back?
Oh, that is the number. Actually, Tice was my partner as well. That is the number where the marble scene happens afterwards.
Oh,
that's
yes.
The
blue. You all are in blue, right?
Yeah. That's why they can put that on there. We're not naked, and we're kind of covered like in that sheer costume there.
Yeah, you all weren't. I do remember that. You all, there was a bunch of different costumes. That was just, I think it goes with the most iconic number is the one that it was, it was a good number. That blue number was super technical, I remember.
Very
it was a little bit slower, right?
And a lot of partnering work. Yes, a lot of partnering work. Very slow.
Were you there for the marble scene? Did you get to see him do that?
Yeah, because I was in that scene with Melissa, and I was one of the girls standing there, like giving like attitude. Again, not a name, but one of the actress dancers.
You were Darling Nikki. I'm giving you the name now.
Darling Nikki.
But you were yourself. You were playing Darling Nikki. Yeah, no, Melissa Williams is another. She's iconic in that too. Just
I remember. Do you remember the
braids?
Yeah, and Angela there, and they rolled the dice, the marbles, and that scene. We were like, "This is so shady." Like dancers are really look at this one too. The Douglas Kirkland. This hangs in my office.
That's pretty. Is that with Kevin?
That's with Kevin Stay.
Wow.
I know.
If you feel comfortable, I couldn't really see it, but if you feel comfortable, we can always show it. Whether it's on the on Instagram, our Instagram when you come out. So what was your favorite memory of Showgirls?
Oh gosh. It was such a long period of time, but I really do have to say it was all the memories and the laughter with all these incredible, incredible dancers. But behind the scenes, we laughed so much. We worked really hard, and we played really hard in the way of like laughter and kind of making fun of ourselves, and like, the wigs and being on set for so long, and just the things that happen. Dancers have a great sense of humor, I think. So it really was, it really was forming all these friendships and having such a great time. And it was my first job with Marguerite Derricks, so that was incredible as well. It was iconic. We got paid really well. It was a great job. It was super. You
bought your first car with it.
Bought my first car. Got a photo shoot with Douglas Kirkland. There were a lot of, at the time, I don't think I even realized how, obviously none of us knew how iconic it was going to be, but to be involved in something like that we're still talking about, that still lasts, and a big dance movie. It was, a lot of joy, a lot of fun.
And it's grown. It's kind of snowballed back to that, how they didn't think it did well, but it's, during maybe a year ago, I was at my friend's, I walked in, and he's in the business, but not in dance, and he was on this movie, or they do like a movie night on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, the movie that we're watching is, and they were like going to talk about it. It was Showgirls. I was like, oh my God. So, it's still being, dissected. I'm sure as you hear, what is like the most common, I'm sure you hear, what is the thing that people tell you, fans, that is so untrue about the show? Like what is that? Like a rumor that you hear that you all went through or that happened there? Because you have some fans, Showgirls.
Yeah, definitely have a lot of fans. I mean, that's the thing. It's so iconic. I mean, there's how many big dance movies that's about dancers do we get to be a part of? So it's just really special in that way. But I think sometimes fans think and want to hear like the dirt of it. Like, were we like that with one another? Were our dancers really like that? You know, I'm like, not really. Like, that wasn't, not really. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Just dance moms.
Just,
yeah, their moms were. No, they weren't that, but that does happen.
I mean, you know, a lot of things happen for sure. We were there for a long time. So there's a lot of inside stories that are incredible that, you know, I can't say everything here for sure, but it was just super fun.
What was your, not theirs, if you have one or feel like sharing, what was one of your worst memory of Showgirls?
Okay, so I would have to say that one of my worst memories of Showgirls, and this is not a big deal, but in the S&M scene with those black boots, right, that we had to wear for 14-hour shoot days sometimes. And I don't know why, but behind the knee, they had like this, it was like a taped patch behind the knee to kind of protect us because we kept going down on the knee. When we had to take that off at night, it was so painful. I don't know why, but some of it was painful with like the costumes and things, like wearing some of the, and if that's like the worst memory that I have. I mean, really.
No, it's always those little things.
It was the little thing. It was, you know, at the end of a 14-hour day, you're pretty exhausted. Your feet are killing you. You got to do it again, do it one more time. And for some reason, the tape on some of those costumes, taking them off was painful.
So you all two were you allowed to read the script? Did you all read the script before? Did they give you one to see like to know how the movie was going? Or did you not know what the movie was about, like scenes and everything? Or were you like, I'm just here to dance?
I mean, I actually have the script still here with me in my office. I don't know if we had the full script in front of us at the time. Maybe we did once we got there. I knew we would see some of the scenes, but because we weren't the actors, like a lot of us didn't have lines. There were only a very few people that had lines. I don't think I'll speak for myself, was as focused on that. We knew the idea of the movie. Things were changing too in the moment. Lines were changing in the moment. I do remember them one time asking, well, what do dancers eat? Like brown rice and veggies, right? All the time. And we were like, not really, kind of like,
and they kept that in the movie, right? Brown rice and veggies.
Yeah, we were like, I know, it's like what people think, and that would be
back then. It was Skittles and cigarettes
and Reese's. I ate Reese's. My diet was like fudgesicle Reese's, and terrible ramen. But it was funny things like that. Like you'd get little glimpses of it, but I don't remember like I would now, or as an actress having the script in front of me. I was more worried about the dance steps, doing a good job as a dancer.
Yeah,
my job as a dancer, portraying that character. There was enough to focus on.
And a lot has changed too, dancers that are listening. Lindsley and I, what is that? We walked so you could run.
Yeah.
There's so much that has changed as far as how long you can dance, the surfaces you can dance on, the types of shoes, with the union. That's why unions are important for dancing. And again, using your voice, Absolutely. I think you're allowed more. We were always allowed. Oh, I didn't know I was allowed. I mean, I guess I technically was in a freedom sense, but, I think dancers use their voice more. But remember, we all, one day you're going to be, hey, Lindsley and I are going strong, but one day you're going to be doing your own thing, talking about when you danced professionally. So It's always good to just remember what past generations of even dancers have done, even dancers for so you much. And I,
So much really paved the way, especially during that time. I mean, I'm so glad that you brought that up, John, because it's so true. The Dancers Alliance, barely even existed. I mean, paving the way for the union to take better care of dancers and the rates. I do remember something on set. There was glass, there was fire. We were in little G-strings. I do remember a union member coming out But I think it was because the dancers made that call to come check and make sure that we were getting hazard pay. You know, it was the dancers kind of speaking up, and it felt like, should we not? And I do agree. Like now I feel like people feel that more of a voice. They, understand their rights to be protected and taken care of, where maybe it wasn't that much during that time, but we helped pave the way. Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. So what was your involvement and contribution with the Pussycat Dolls?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was an original and founding member of the Pussycat Dolls, associate choreographer with Robin Anton for 7 years, like from the ground up, helping build this, platform. And then it became this huge pop, sensation, and co-artistic director at the time with her. So it was really building the stage for the new girls to come in, and it flew. So putting down that fundamental foundation.
And because a lot about that style of dance. Back in the beginning, it was burlesque.
Mm-hmm.
You even have something similar, Cherry Boom Boom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're doing now, but I know that you are having something come up, correct? That is tied to it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Rob and I loved Bob Fosse, so we had a great connection. Robin Anton is the creator of Pussycat Dolls, and we just had a great connection with that campy, fun kind of burlesque style, Bob Fosse, and that the music was very different. So after Pussycat Dolls became the pop sensation, and I stepped away, was doing much more theater and acting, dance is always my number one love. So I wanted to create a show using music that I love. Cherry Boom Boom was more kind of rock cabaret based, and it used a lot more theatricality and theater style to create Cherry Boom Boom. So it was based more on storytelling and the characters. And I have a training program. So Cherry Boom Boom was well known in Los Angeles, and we had a show in Las Vegas, the Tropicana, that just got demolished.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But we got to be a part of that iconic stage on the Tropicana, Cherry Boom Boom. So a very small burlesque show that ended up going to the Tropicana. So that's something that I always remind myself of. And we have a training program called the Boom Effect. And the Boom Effect trains dancers in all three of those things that helped Cherry Boom Boom become a big smash hit. It's dance, burlesque, and then like a specialty act, like some sort of apparatus and extra skill. And I have a Boom Effect coming up, a one night only, November 20th, with special guest and contributing choreographer to Cherry Boom Boom, Melanie Lewis, who's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. So you can check out my link in bio. It's on Eventbrite.
And I'll put it in the show notes, everybody, so you can connect to it. And
a lot of experience, a lot of great classes, and also some opportunities for professional jobs as well. A direct to callbacks for some shows that I cast for, The Empire Strips Back, and also Celebrity Cruises that Melanie works for, together a possible direct to callback and a contract with 40 Deuce Burlesque. So lots of good stuff there.
No, and I think what I love about Lindsley too is, you see, it's kind of crossed over. I see more guys dancing in heels.
Yes.
And I know you teach a heels class. I know you're known for teaching heels. And I feel that sometimes, because I know some dance moms are probably listening that loved Showgirls, that still have kids that are dancing, and dance dads, but that a lot of the competition kids don't know how to dance in heels.
Exactly.
Which is a big part as you get older. Just so you know, everyone, you are doing jobs with people like Lindsley or Robin.
Yes.
And what advice do you have to say to those moms?
Yes.
Or, young dancers that don't know how to dance in heels?
Well, it is so important. I mean, and it's one of the things that I went to Bill Bull, who owns Hollywood Connection, and said exactly that. This was 15 years ago when I first started. You know what dancers really need to make it in the professional business is learning how to dance in heels, like a heels technique class, and started it. And it has been so effective. And obviously we're seeing more dance numbers in heels, more of the studios having some of the heel classes, but still not that much. I don't think that it should ever replace a ballet contemporary class. I always say to my students, it needs to be earned. You need to have the ballet training and the jazz and the contemporary and the tap, and then you put the heels on after that. It's definitely that kind of class where it needs technique behind it, or else it loses the art form, the beautiful art form that it is.
And even maybe I feel even having some musical theater in heels
absolutely
can at least help you go to heels in the sense of Fosse. They used
absolutely
Laducas and heels, but let's say out here on the West Coast predominantly to do burlesque or do heels, because that is going to happen a lot. And you all need to be, first of all, if you want to work, you got to know how to dance in heels.
You do have to dance in heels, but not the heels first. Like sometimes, unfortunately, I see putting on the heels without the technique underneath it, and not good. You have to have the technique to support it, I believe. And that's who I cast. And that's another reason why Cherry Boom Boom was such a success, was that only hired very technical dancers who had that Cherry Boom Boom burlesque style and the specialty act. But before that, they had to be an amazing high standard dancer. And then the heels on top of that, like a little cherry on top.
Yeah, no. And then you have your
it's
you
like
wore a lot of heels and you wore a lot of heels in Showgirls, that's for sure. When was the last time you watched Showgirls all the way through?
That is such a good question. It's been so long. It's been way too long. I was actually on convention when they showed the film again at Academy Museum, when they brought Elizabeth there. And so I'm so sorry that I missed that. That was in March. But I have not watched it in probably 10, 15 years, a very long time.
And you all don't watch the VH1 version when they're all, gotta be over 18. But, when they blotch you out and they cut scenes out. Watch the full on NC-17 version.
Oh, yeah. You have to watch the full thing. You know who knows every line? And was Brooklyn J. When he first came on Hollywood Connection, he was like, I was watching this movie last night, one of my favorite movies, Showgirls. And I was like, oh, I was in that film. He was like, what? He goes, he was so cute about it. He knew every line. He went to the Academy Museum that night. And it just reminded me that people love it. And so, yes, I need to go back and watch it.
I'm hoping that, I know someone who works at the DGA, and she's always asking for, they just do random screenings. And I think you said it already was there, but maybe I'll, I know that was for an anniversary. Maybe they can do it again, because I definitely would. Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to probably go watch it again. So
I would love to watch it again and have a panel up there for sure. I think that's a great idea, John.
So we're at the end. We're at the last act of Showgirls. Let's see. What was the last part of Showgirls? What was happening? I can't remember the plot line. We are, she's, yeah. Anyway, she's kicked out. She's out of the show.
Yeah.
I think that's the end. Yeah. We're almost about to get back on the road. We're on the road leaving Vegas. That's right. What it is. That's it.
She comes back to her like heart and her like this is who I am too, and she kind of figures out that that's not for her. She went from being an exotic dancer, wanting to be in this Vegas show, and she gets there and then finds out there were things about it that weren't really true to like who she is, and so she goes back to herself.
And
something like that.
Showgirls walked so Striptease could run. I believe Striptease. I believe Striptease happened with Demi Moore because of Showgirls.
I agree. Opinion. I love that.
So we're on the road, but I'm going to ask you a few fun questions. Okay. It's a rapid fire. Go off your instincts. Everyone gets these at the end. So, what's your favorite? This is kind of funny that I'm asking you this question, but your favorite dance movie?
Oh, that's so hard. I mean, my original first one is Flashdance. That comes to my mind just because it changed my life. I was, a small town girl, had big dreams. Flashdance.
Favorite Broadway show?
Ooh, Um, Gosh, there's so many. I'm going to go with Chorus Line, which, by
Ooh,
the
good
way,
one.
Michelle Johnston. I just have to go back. Michelle Johnston. So I loved Chorus Line. I used to love, who's that girl in Chorus Line in the green? It was Michelle Johnston. Oh my gosh, I get to Showgirls and she's the choreographer. Talk about all kinds of dreams coming true, getting to work with Michelle Johnston.
I
The
worked
person that
with
you
her.
idolized. Oh,
I know the feeling. Mine was Chorus Line. Then it went to Showgirls because I knew her from that. And I worked with her on a couple jobs. She was choreographing. I mean, when you said her name, like I just feel so much love. So humble, so
and
kind, and
so
so
humble.
insanely talented.
So insanely talented. That scene in that movie, Chorus Line, the film, every dancer should watch that scene. Indeed, that audition scene.
No one has said you are our 22nd guest, and no one has said Chorus Line. So I like that.
It's classic.
Favorite choreographer?
Oh, that's so hard. That is so hard. Let's see. I worked with Michael Peters, which was amazing. And I was young when I worked with Michael Peters, and it was iconic. And I learned so much. I was in the room with so many incredible A-list experienced veteran dancers that I learned so much from. But his process was always fun and creative, and he would like choreograph kind of on the spot. I'm going to go with Michael Peters.
I think that's what you were supposed to say, because when you were talking before Showgirls, that's how I knew of you, because you did Michael Peters benefit.
And
Michael Jackson benefit.
Yeah.
And he choreographed it, and I remember seeing you in it. So rest in peace, Michael Peters. He choreographed many things, but obviously Thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, favorite style of dance?
Well, my first love was ballet. I actually wanted to be in a ballet company, but I was also a great jazz dancer. So I'm going to say jazz because that has been my career. So life took me to New York. I won a scholarship, brought me out to Los Angeles, and then I had a much better career than I probably would have had being in a ballet company. I mean, I've worked so much. So I'm going to go with jazz.
Jazz. Okay. If you could do a solo at a dance competition, what would it be?
It would be, I love all that jazz. I love that movie too. Oh goodness.
Take Off With Us.
It would have to be one of those numbers in there. All that jazz. Frug. It would have to be, what is the name of the song? It's escaping me at the moment. Oh, the song is called I Gotcha. But
I thought you were going to say Darling Nikki. You could have done that as a solo.
Well, I've done that as a solo. So I thought you meant something I haven't done, John.
Well, you probably couldn't do it. You probably couldn't do that as a dance competition number. Well, right. I guess you could, but you can do anything.
Probably not.
So what is one of the boldest things you've done in your life?
I think those choices and dance and choices like Showgirls, where it was a little risky. We knew it was going to be topless, and probably doing some of those dance jobs that seemed risky at the time, but I'm so glad that I've done them, because I've never regretted anything that I have done. I've only regretted the choices that I didn't do, because I thought someone else might think something, or, yeah, I'm glad I did all of those jobs that seemed a little risky at the time. And I would say for dancers to do them all, do it, explore theater, dance, different choreographers, the little dance jobs that don't seem like they, pay that much, but you get to work with Adam Shankman that I did, that led me to like so much work with him. And I don't know, I just loved, such a lover of dance that I think oh my God, the bubble card. You remember Carnival?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a
I feel
example.
They still have that.
Yes, but this was like in the very beginning. It was downtown where Glam Slam was, where Erotic City was. So this is an example, because there's been a couple of Bubbacar and Victor asked me to do a piece with them, and it was topless, and I was going to be, painted, and it was choreography in between the two of them, and it was very risky at the time. And I only did it because I really trusted them as choreographers and the choreography, and it was artistic. And I did the piece, and I remember a few dancers afterwards saying, why did you do that? But I never regretted that. I felt like the choices I made, and after Showgirls, I did have some offers, and people would reach out to me about doing things that were naked or topless. And I was like, I'm not doing it just because it's naked or topless. I was very picky about the jobs that I did do. But if they were artistically based and it was my choice, then I would choose to do what I wanted to do with my artistic self and my body and my choice. And I wasn't persuaded from the financial gain or anything like that. Of course, that's important too. But I just made sure that it made sense to me. And I was doing it because I wanted to fulfill a creative side as well. So some of them seemed risky. Erotic City, some people felt like that would be, tricky. It ended up being an incredible job with Jamie King. That time with that carnival with Bubba, Showgirls. And Showgirls.
Doing Showgirls back in 1994 is very bold, Lindsley. So
it was.
Thank you for coming on here and giving us some fun during this time. And just, we're all going to watch Showgirls. And I wish I had music to play, but come on, at the end, you got to give us one, there you go. You got it. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you follow. Where can we reach you at, Lindsley? Where can they follow you at?
I'm on Instagram and lindsleyallen.com, and I'm on Instagram and social media. So mostly there.
As well, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on YouTube, subscribe. You can follow us on all podcast platforms. Make sure you download. And also, if you want to support us, you can see all of our hand choreography on Patreon and become a member. So lots of love to you, Lindsley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. So good to see you. Love you.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.